So, Sushant, let me start with a confession. I have no interest in cricket. Okay, none. I'm that woman in the promo who is asking Dhoni, "Aapka naam kya hai?" Okay, so it's a testament to your talent and to Neeraj Pandey's talent that even somebody like me is like dying to see this film.
That's great.
Okay, but here's my concern. The film originated with Arjun Pandey, who's, MS Dhoni's Arun Pandey, who's very, close collaborator, very, a business partner. He's also a co-producer on the film. So in a sense, by proxy, MS is a co-producer on his own life story. Does that in any way imply a censorship? I mean, will we see warts and vulnerabilities even, or is it all positive, glowing?
No, it's not that. And Neeraj was very clear right from the very first day when he was asked to whether he wants to direct the film or not. So he was like, let me talk to him. Let me see if there is a story or not. And he spent some 3-4 days with the man. And there is a story to tell, and it's a very, very important thing that we are punctuating in the film. It's not that we are over-dramatizing any situation, or right from his birth till the 2011 when we won the World Cup, everything that has happened, which is important, is there in the film.
But will we see any negatives, any cracks in the character? Because he's on a pedestal, we worship him anyway, right?
Sure.
So will we see the fragility of the man, or the things that aren't great?
Well, it's subjective. What we are trying to do in the film is that every important event that has happened is there, and I tried to understand his psychology and stayed true with the emotions. It's on you to decide whether I was right or wrong. But it's there.
It is there.
And we are not saying, oh, this is how you should think at this point of time. You just have to take your own decision. Yeah.
So with this film, you've of course done a deep dive into the character of Dhoni. You've spent a year in training, you've talked to his friends, and of course the man himself. And a lot of the conversation around the film is about the prep that you've put in. And at one level, that's a given. That's your job,
yes.
Right? We shouldn't be applauding you
True.
because you worked
Absolutely
for a role.
True. Absolutely
right?
True. Yeah.
But we do, because it doesn't happen a lot.
Right.
Okay, so it is amazing, the kind of sort of dedication, the fact you didn't do any other films. You put your focus and your mind into this one movie. And on the other hand, there's also sort of a gentle mocking of this kind of intensity and seriousness. Last year I was talking to one of your contemporaries, another young actor, and I was talking about putting together some panel, and I said, oh, maybe I can ask Sushant, and he says, not in a mean way, but he said, oh, he'll go all Daniel Day-Lewis on it. So, how do you deal with that? I mean, do you think about these things at all?
I do sometimes. I'm like, I used to get affected, I won't lie. But now it doesn't affect me that much. I don't know how I've gotten immune to it. But I've realized that if they look at me and they smile, they feel happy, and I get to know about it, I'll be slightly more happier than what I am already. But people have a tendency that they will tell you that either if the film is not like my Byomkesh, I worked the same in that film too. But
you work very hard there. Yeah.
True,
yeah.
but then people say, so after the film is released and it didn't do very well at the box office, then people say, oh, so they'll make up something. Just to, as I said, we look back and we try to make sense of everything. But then, like right now, people say, oh, you have done this, or the nuances are in place and the body language is there. But we are supposed to do that. And my director is very clear. I remember third or the fourth day when we were shooting, and I asked him a very, very frivolous question. It was like we were shooting a montage, and the camera was there near the ceiling, and I was down, and then there was one shot, which is the fifth or the sixth day in the film, where he asked me that, okay, somehow show me that this time you're thinking about what the I'm doing.
It's digital, you can swear.
Yeah, what the fuck I'm doing. So I was like, but the camera is up and it's not close. Even if I think something, how will I show it to the camera? And he was like, that's your job. That's why I hired you. You are the actor.
And this is going to be slightly problematic, but let me say it. My theory is that as a community, as a comm, I think sports people are better than film people because there can't be hypocrisy. When you mess up in front of the world.
Right.
If you are out, you are out.
Yeah.
Right? Our world is, there's just built-in levels of lying. Okay, trial में सब कहते हैं बहुत अच्छा निकल के सब बोलते हैं क्या बकवास पिक्चर बनाई है, right?
True.
Sports में वो हो ही नहीं सकता because when you fail, you fail. Right? I mean, am I on to something or am I just overthinking this?
No, you're absolutely right. There you don't have retake. You are live and you have to perform then and there, and your stats speak, and that's how you sustain your position in the team. Obviously, there is politics there, but that's
Of course.
secondary.
Right. But there's no debate.
There's no debate.
There's
on
no
talent.
line.
You have to have that skill in order to survive. But normally we see in rest of the industries that are there, and that nepotism is there, and it's very, very evident everywhere. If mediocrity doesn't thrive, then it's fine to a point. But if mediocrity thrives in the same industry in which nepotism is there, then we have to think, because we're talking about the whole industry collapsing in very immediate future, because people know about all the films that are releasing everywhere and they go and watch it. And that is the reason why they are doing very well in India too. We have earned a different reputation for ourselves, but we are trying to change it. But if we don't change it, then I don't think that there is any room for us to take our relevance for granted.
Yeah. And especially when, a Jungle Book is doing 100 crores.
Exactly. So we need to have that courage to come up with something fresh, or at least personal. But then we keep on making remakes of the same film and then sequels of the same film. I don't know what's happening, but it's high time that we need to come up with something very fresh.
Speaking of remakes, I was talking to Rohit Shetty a couple of weeks ago, and him and Karan Johar were working on a remake of Ram Lakhan. And he said to me that it's been put on a back burner because the truth is that none of the younger generation, your contemporaries, actually want to work together. He said that they're all supportive of each other. They'll all praise each other on Twitter. Yeah. But he said we can't get two actors to work together. Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because I don't have a problem. I was not forced to do PK in any way. I had already signed Kai Poche, and I was on a good wicket there. But I just wanted to have an experience working with Mr. Rajkumar Hirani, and that's why I did it. I knew that the part was not that big, duration-wise. But that's how you think. So my experiences are very, very important. If I like the script and I play the third character, I'll still do it.
It's not about the footage.
It's not about the footage. It's about I'm a very selfish actor. I just think about myself when I'm signing the film and when I'm shooting for the film. It has to do with my experiences and my exploring, my failures, my stumbling upon something very, very unique, fresh, and I don't know how to deal with it, and I somehow work with it and make it my own. So that thing, but not what people will think. It's only when the film is releasing and I'm asked to sell my film is when I think about them, because if I'm selling it, endorsing it, then I shouldn't be fooling you, because you'll be investing money and your time. So then that sense of audience and responsibility comes in. Otherwise, I just think about myself.
And as an actor, isn't that a requirement?
Of course it is. And I had a personal experience, because first 18, 19 years of my life, I just couldn't speak. I just couldn't communicate. I'm the youngest in my family, and we have
4 sisters.
Yeah, 4 sisters. So I was very pampered in my house, but I did not know how to deal with people when I was stepping out of my house. So I became this very quiet, introverted child. Obviously, there is nothing wrong with that, but if you want to say something, if you want to express at least, and you can't do it, it's a very strange feeling that you get. It was only when I was performing for the first time on stage, I could feel that I can do it. People are listening, they're getting affected by it, and I could feel that magic. And that is the why of doing it. Obviously, I'm not saying that, okay, fame doesn't mean anything, money doesn't mean anything. Obviously, they do. You give it to me, I'll keep it, but they won't.
It doesn't drive you.
They don't drive me.
So, are you in life a shy, sort of reticent person, and Do you transform? I mean, like I've seen Sridevi work, and in life she's very quiet, and but you put that camera on, and it is magic. Are you that person?
Yeah, because I don't see a sense, because every time I try to say something, either I could sense a loss of meaning in what I'm thinking, and in the words that I'm using.
You can't articulate what you're thinking.
So that thing, or maybe I could see through that. Okay, I'm repeating somebody. I've borrowed opinions from somebody, and I'm just making it my own just to come across as somebody who knows his shit. But I could see through it, and I stop in between because I have to face myself at least. So that is the reason I don't. There is a saying that goes like, if you know nothing, you say a lot. If you know something, what's there to say? So I'm more towards that.
That's so funny. So, Sushant, you can ignore, let's say, the negativity, if there is, if the response to your kind of level of immersion is mocked or whatever. What about the sort of surround sound around your personal life? I mean, you had a very public breakup this year. There was so much talk around that. You went off Twitter and Instagram for a while. Do you think it's just impossible in this kind of fishbowl to even sustain a relationship?
It is possible if you have time for it, and if there are no expectations, obviously, because that's how you start, and you fall in love because you want to give. You want to just create good moments, and so you're thinking about how to make the other person happy. And then obviously time is an investment in a relationship. It's like normally in a relationship, that's what I was saying, that we crave for that psychological security, knowing the fact that it will not be forever. You will die in between, whatever. But but it will not be forever. So there's a conflict. Fact is the change, and we crave for security. So that's like 180 opposite. But if you, as I said, if you're not thinking about there forever or whatever, and you're here and you're just trying to make the other person happy, so that is the good intent. Probably that's the intent that you need, and you need to be there in order to do that. So that time is.
So it's not the prying eyes; it's the time.
It's the time, and obviously the intent.
And it's very tough given the demands on your time, right?
Yeah, of course. Because if you're talking about working on a character, it's such an abstract thing. You do a lot of research just to somehow on the first day of the shoot, in your head you have to be the character. Like in Dhoni, before I held a pen to write character sketch of him, or a bat in order to cultivate that cricketing skill, I was just looking at him for like hours and hours without even analyzing him, just looking at him.
So it's like a tapasya, na?
It's tapasya if you are working on that for something else. But if you're working on that because there is nothing else that you can think of, it's not tapasya. It's just like, I'll give you an example. Like when I was in school, 4 to 5:30 p.m. was my playing time. I was good in studies, but my entire day revolved around that 4 to 5:30. And it was amazing that so early I could see that how time also is so subjective. That every hour was like an hour, but 4 to 5:30 was like 5 minutes. So I was like, and I'm living that 4 to 5:30.
That's your whole life now.
For whole life now. So it's not about anything else. I cannot think about anything. That's why I can't sleep. Because I get up like this. It's not about, I want to hold on to everything that's good right now. It's just that I am so excited for nothing.
Tell me, the other thing, Anushka Sharma told me many years ago that I'll never date an actor because I can't handle being with a guy who has more beauty products than I do. Correct. So do you think that the vanity of actors gets in the way of relationships?
It might.
It might, no? Because your job insists that you be vain to a certain degree.
No, and normally we see when we look around that normally most of the actors cannot talk beyond themselves. They're just so self-obsessed, they just want to talk about themselves. Even if they are very, very good at their work, they just want to talk about that. So it gets to a point, people want somebody to listen. That's an art that is just not surviving anymore. People just don't listen. If they have something, if they want something out of you, they would pretend to listen, but they would not. They just don't listen anymore.
They're not hearing.
They're not hearing.
So are you a listener?
No, I don't talk about myself because as I said, I don't make sense most of the time, and I know it.
You're making perfect sense now.
I know. It's the only. See, it was what? It was somebody's quote. I think it was Socrates' quote that the only thing I know that I don't know anything. And yes, this is the only thing that I know. That there is, first of all, there is no right and there is no wrong way to go about anything. Thankfully, I spent some time with Shekhar Kapoor while preparing for Pani, and I could see that just a slight shift of looking at things from a different place makes completely new and different sense. So you tend to know that there are so many ways. And just because you know that you don't know anything.
Tell me that you brought up Pani. You worked on that project you said you did a 7-month masterclass with Shekhar
I did.
Kapoor. And then that film doesn't happen. How do you kind of process and come to terms with something like that?
I was fortunate that people were still hiring me. I won't say that I was completely immune to it because ultimately, as I said, fame is not a drive. But if I'm not famous, people won't hire me for the job I want to do. So in that ways, I want that. But
it's a means to an end.
Yeah, it's a want basically. It's not the drive. It's the same with that because I spent so many months actually preparing. I was not regretting my hard work because I learned a lot of things. Like this is, if this was the only thing that I would have learned, I would still be happy. But yeah, I was thinking that whether I'll be hired again or not because first year it was like 3 films and then there was a lull, there was nothing. And then I do Byomkesh, I worked very hard for it and then it doesn't do well at the box office. So you tend to think about these things for a day or two. But then again, you come back to that 4 to 5:30 wala job. You know that playing between 4 to 5:30 won't get you anywhere. It will not make you MS Dhoni. I used to play cricket. But you do it because there is nothing else that you can do. So I come back to my neutral state, which is like thinking about how to go about it.
What do you do with those extra hours? Since you only sleep 2 hours, what do you do in all that extra time that you have?
Since I don't like to talk that much, so I don't have many friends, I read. I read different books, not to get out something out of it, but just to have a different take on things.
And what do you do for fun, Sushant?
That is my fun. Like it's my. So that's why people find me very, very boring. I try to pretend at times that okay, this is also something that I am very, very good at. But but ultimately, they can see through.
You don't go out a lot, no partying, none of that.
I do, and then sometimes I get hammered, and then people find me very exciting, interesting.
Talk a lot when you're.
Yes, for some reason they're like, we love you.
When you've had a few drinks.
Yeah, you're like 5 drinks down, and so it's so happening, And just realizing that, I know that normally I would be so boring because if that is interesting, so normally I don't talk to many people because they also don't want to talk to me. They want to have a good time.
Well, thank you for talking to us and for sort of being so out of character and talking so much.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you. That's so funny. So it's 5 drinks, yeah? That's the magic number.
Yep. If you like this video, please hit the button below and subscribe to Film Companion.